Welcome back to Arkansas Bigfoot. On today's episode of the Snot Blossom Chronicles, we find ourselves deep in the lair of Junior's man cave area. And it looks like he's tore this up quite a bit back here and been digging into that. But the more interesting aspect of all of it is I think he's been flexing his little wood booger biceps because that box is ripped entirely off the tree out there. It was lag bolted onto that tree right straight in front, and it is gone. I don't know what he's done with it. If he's carried it off and put it somewhere or busted it up or where it's at, but you can see this whole area up here, even with all this rain and flooding that we get, stays fairly up dry and a good little place to hang out. When we started walking back here, we could hear crash, crash, crash through the woods right back in this spot. So I don't know if he's bailed out and gone that direction is what it sounded like. Kind of a pathway that cuts through that underbrush over there, so I don't know if there's a good way we can get around to it. We've got a lot of water to wade through. As you can see, it has rained a lot.
Might be good for tracks. We'll see what we see.
Well, there's not going to be any way we're ever going to get back to that other area anytime soon. They'll let me wade out across there and make sure we don't fall into a deep hole, so. But there's that little rain hood that I had made for the camera, and that box was right there on that tree, and it's gone. Lag bolts and all. Fairly deep hole out there, so kind of skirt around the edge of this. Are you gonna get there? So at least this gives you an idea of what this looks like most of the time through winter when it's raining and it's the wet season. there.
It's a big triangle.
Yeah. Right out through that.
The colors are out here, are vibrant this morning.
Yeah, you've heard us and other people talk about portals and gateways and interdimensional abilities, and one of the speculations that's been out there floating around for a long time is the whole connection with extraterrestrials and aliens and things like that. I'm honestly not sure what I think about that part of it.
Well, we've had a lot of questions about it, and I found myself inquiring somewhat about it, and without getting too in depth, the feeling that always comes back to me is, yes, they are well aware of these, they call them forms of consciousness. They don't even call them beings, all of them. But what I get back is they are well aware of them, but they are not of them the way that people might think they are. They do cross paths, but there are some that they avoid. Energetically, they're not necessarily of a proper vibration in their mind, or a vibration that's conducive to them or their work or us. And they have access to a lot of realm, but I don't see them really blasting back and forth between planets or solar systems, or it's more of a travel of the mind. It's more of a travel of that consciousness, and it's really hard to explain that feeling, so I'll apologize for a lack of words. Maybe it'll come to me if there's a better way to put it. They're also saying that many think that they are out of, or that they are Nephilim. They said that would not be correct. It would not be correct to allow people to think that, because they are not the same. They are not one and the same. Okie dokie.
I guess he wanted to spit that out, didn't he?
Yeah. Pretty robust. It doesn't feel upset with people for thinking that. It's almost as if they understand that thought, or why we might be confused, he says. He's saying also, okay, I really wasn't going to do this, but he won't hush up, so we're going to do this for a minute. He's saying also that not all of their species has an exact same origin, an exact same type of energy. Some of them, and I kind of feel it out of these guys, have been on the earth for so very long. Like I'm feeling millions of years. But not all of their species, much of their species is actually new to the planet, and that explains much of why they act the way they do. Some are more aggressive. They don't have the same evolution, is what's coming to me. We'll walk on a little bit and see if there's anything else.
He's basically saying there's different echelons of conscious awareness or different attitudes among the species.
Yeah, he showered me saying that if you can think of people, if that's easier, not all people have the same advancement or the same knowings. It isn't a judgment, it's just a fact. Surprisingly, they're very non-judgmental. They look at everything with a very broad scope. I guess you would have to.
Well, not so much to bring up the alien topic again, but that sounds very much Mr. Spock, doesn't it?
Well,
very analytical.
He is very analytical. It's very much the teacher in his energy. And something that came through this week unexpectedly was that he is what we might consider a new elder, not a new teacher so much, but this is part of his own course, part of his own path, is to help break some of the paradigms for those that would have them broken. He said it will not serve everybody, but for those that are at that place, he's there to serve. Very specifically, he says, I am here to serve. For the most part, he says he's open with information, but there are some things that he cannot divulge as per law, he says. And so that leads me to believe that they do have laws.
Or at least some type of rules or guidelines of not to cross.
Yeah. He was also saying, I must have had a question about some of the trackways being more deep or less deep. Some are more impression, but he was showing me that there is a semi-physical state that they are often in, and the reason that people will find one track is because they're between, and it's got just a little density to leave a mark. But don't think you're imagining things, he said, because it is that way. It's a lighter print, sometimes a heavy print, but often a lighter print because they're between that physical, non-physical space, and so they do just disappear to our sight because we don't read energy impressions the way that they do. I'm only laughing because I know that's probably correct.
So when you're finding the deep, full-on prints in the ground, that's when they're
most physical,
in complete physical form, and their matter changes as they.
And it's almost as if he's showing me that they can feel, say, mud or the earth differently, so they know they've gotten into a space that's too physical. If they aren't distracted with people's activities or anything going on, they will quickly change back to stay, he says, as you say, on stealth, to stay in a safe place. less visible. We shredded that bad boy.
Well, we brought Junior another industrial can of peanut butter out here since we got such a happy sing-song response the last time. We're gonna give him a little more here. I'm gonna have to start buying it in the 55-gallon drums. Oh, and we got him some tacos also.
Oh Lord. 2 taco people.
Yeah, I figure he might like them the way I like them. I don't know.
I think the corn shell they would like, because they love that cornbread. So.
Make him some peanut butter tacos. Sounds delicious.
After I tear them up.
Now he's got peanut butter nachos. You just broke them.
Yeah. Sorry, Gina. I don't think you'll care. It's really hard to find a good spot for them. They're going to have to fix the sticks better.
Alright, so he's got his apple, his industrial can of peanut butter, and some taco shells he's going to have to use as nacho dip for the peanut butter. I think that'll make him happy.
I think he will like it.
I don't know what he did with that box up there on the tree. That's kind of... Well, I'm sure we'll find it out here somewhere.
Yeah, like everything else eventually. I don't know where they keep hiding their stuff besides his log. We found some, but there's so much more.
There's little corners of all of this that we haven't even been into yet, but or just see it from a distance and don't walk toward it, so it's hard telling. Well, that was totally unexpected, this conversation today. Told everybody we'd try it once a month. I didn't know it would just randomly happen, spontaneous combustion style.
It's funny because he's very concerned about truth. He's very concerned about people's fear and wanting to try to help ease that fear if he can. It's always our choice, of course. He said it's always a choice.
Well, it makes sense if you go with the principle that energy attracts similar and like energy. So if you're resonating from a fear platform, that's what you're going to draw into your space. More things to create more fear.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was listening with both ears. He said there's so much you don't know, and it's always dangerous to make decisions with the lack of information. Ooh, that was profound. He's right, I guess. I hadn't really thrown it down that way, but it would make sense. We're all deciding on things we don't know about.
Well, we only see things from the point or perspective that we're standing at. It's a difficult challenge to see the entire picture when it's out of view.
I'm glad there's some high ground. I'm being given that the little ones are twins. I wasn't really thinking about that, but for some reason he is so adamant about asking or about answering questions, and then maybe I haven't even thought about something for days or a week or more. They're so telepathic. I really thought we would have trouble getting to this tree.
No, the trails are all on these higher spots through here, so
Really flat.
yeah.
I don't think they're at all afraid of water, but it's funny that I don't find more foot track through the water.
Well, the way he responded about taking a bath. Alright, I'm going to stand here and kind of scan around for
Sure.
a minute.
Won't take a minute. This little bag back here.
More tacos, peanut butter, and apples. Should have brought the lettuce and tomato out. He could have made him a taco salad.
And we're gonna have to step it up. Always gotten aware the gifting just feels like, I don't know if habit is the right word, or kind of,
A habit of acknowledgement.
yeah, it's not, it really doesn't impress them that much as far as quantity. That's weird. Looks like a foot right under that. One of our rocks is down. Or I see two. Where is the third one? There's two limbs.
Well, you never know which way the topic's going to turn whenever we get out here, so it's always an adventure in its own self. I say it'll be interesting to hear other people's thoughts on that whole alien aspect of it. I've said I'm not knowledgeable about that whole section of anything. That's not something I really ever explored or looked into. I'm aware of it just to the point of most people are aware of it when you bring up the subject, but
He's saying there are systems. He didn't want everybody to think that what we call alien was bad. He said there are some systems and some forms of consciousness that are hoping and looking for us to make good choices, but they have a great understanding for, our actions affect everything. It's not just this place, this planet, or mankind. Everything is affected. So there are positive, for lack of a better word, energies that are trying to help us grow.
alright guys, well, we're gonna head up to the house and let them have the woods back, and we appreciate everybody tagging along, and we will see you next time.
Yep.
Thanks.